Something that I've been thinking a lot about lately after reading Lenin's essay, What is to be Done, and also after reading the editorial statement of the Iskra collective, is like the intention of left media in general and how they use journalism and media in general as like an instrumental end rather than as an end rather than as an instrument for something else. So in What is to be Done, it's Lenin's essay about basically his response to the question of what is to be done is you should form a newspaper and use that to draw like ideological demarcations between yourself and competing groups, and also use the network involved in producing and distributing a newspaper as the skeletal formation of a actual structure for a revolutionary party. So the intention with Iskra, which was his newspaper, was to distribute it across Russia to comrades in all different kinds of circles within the intelligentsia and also, obviously, crucially, within the working class. And in order for him to accomplish that, it was necessary for him to build up a huge network of people who are mobilized and who are on the same page ideologically and politically. And obviously the context in Russia, the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th, was much different from what it is now. Like, they actually were in a much more advantageous position where there was just like a lot more revolutionary consciousness. They were fighting back against the Tsar. It was like a autocratic, monarchic regime. There was like a tradition of like terrorism, decades old. There was like just a lot more consciousness and a lot more revolutionary groups, but they were all split ideologically. They had no real consensus. So the purpose of Iskra as a tool for actually developing thought was to cohere one ideological position and to distinguish that position from all the competing groups, as well as, and this is really crucial, as building up that actual material network. So the function of using journalism and using writing and thought was really instrumental. That was secondary to building up the network, building up the party. And if you take an example of I'm sorry to use such a low-hanging fruit, but take an example like Jacobin, which is a huge magazine. I mean, huge by leftist standards, but that magazine, I guess it is pretty closely affiliated with the Democratic Socialists of America, but that is not a revolutionary party, and their connection is accidental. The DSA did not come about from Jacobin. Jacobin did not start the DSA. There was no explicit intention of using Jacobin as a means to build a party like the DSA. Even if they were not, even if they are not revolutionary, right? They're merely social democrats. But even if they were using journalism or media production as a means to build a reformist party, then they would still be doing something more interesting than what they're doing now, which is really just careerism. And I think that is something that I don't really want to psychoanalyze leftist media people, but it is pretty transparent, it's pretty obvious on the face of it that a lot of these people are really just doing it as a job, doing it because they are maybe likely a lot of the people who are acting in good faith believe that they are contributing to the growth of leftist culture, and they're contributing in a small way to building a leftist movement which could eventually evolve into something revolutionary. And, that may be true, but there's no media organization that has taken on the mantle of Iskra, of actually building its own production and distribution network, a material network of people who are involved, who are connected to comrades across whatever nation is in question, and using the media as a secondary, subordinate instrument to building a party. There's no organization that's doing that. At least, you have things like Spartacist newspaper and the Spartacist League, and you also have the Revolutionary the Communist Party USA, just trying to keep this American, and then in Canada you have the Parti Communiste Révolutionnaire, which is like pretty decent organization in many ways. I mean, it's a whole fucking thing that I don't want to get into, but they have like very sporadic publications, and as an organization they barely exist. But none of these groups have a real media outlet. They're like party-style organizations that do not have. I mean, they have like professed media publications, like the RCP, the Communist Party of the United States, has their newspaper, but nobody knows about it. I've never seen it. I mean, I'm in Canada, but I've never seen it, and the Communist Party USA is obsolete anyway. Like their line is not reflective of what people want. They have no involvement in the masses, which is why they have no profile. And the same is true for the Communist Party of Canada. I'm talking about the Revolutionary Communist Party of Canada, which is different from the Communist Party, which is a reformist parliamentarian group. But I just wanted to make this point that journalism has great utility. Like there are good journalists out there doing great work. Like Democracy Now! Is like a very obvious example, and then even getting into like more bourgeois sources like the New York Times or like the BBC or whatever. Like if you know how to read them, then they can be useful. I mean, I don't think that we should be reading them very much, and I don't read them very much, but there are news sources that you can parse. You can learn how to read critically and learn where their biases are and understand, and there's some breaking kind of news stories where political ideology is not strictly relevant, and there are also good leftist progressive news outlets who are doing great work, like Democracy Now! Is a shining example of that, and I'm sure there are others. Unicorn Riot, pretty good, but those news and journalism is fine and dandy. It's great, but it is not. It is a very I mean, I won't say very, but it is a limited end. It is not really going to bring about the revolution in itself. It is something to do in the meantime. If you want to set your sights, if you want to be a journalist, if that's what you're all about, that's great. But you're not that is not in itself advancing the revolutionary cause. It is a limited end. The telos is not as grand as as revolution. You know what I mean? So doing that is all fine, and it has its place, and it's useful to the left in general to be informed. It's very important to know what's happening nationally as well as internationally. But there is a need for something else, which is a party. That is what I believe, and there's just no left media outlet. There's no leftist media that has really taken the lessons of Lenin, what is to be done. Lenin, who accomplished greater things than any of us are likely to. But he outlined like a pretty like programmatic plan model for what is to be done, and it's interesting to me that like there's no real organization that has like managed to effectively combine media and like the construction of a revolutionary party. That's all I'll say for now.